Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amy. I'm a website copywriter and designer and a brand messaging specialist. And if you are watching this video, my new website is officially live. I have been going through a rebrand and website redesign for the past 4 or so months, I think, since recording this video, and it has been so much fun. One of my favorite things about being a website girl is how re-energizing it can be for whoever it is that owns the business to have all of their messaging squared away, to feel like things actually represent who they are and where they're going, and just to get to have outside eyes in your business. I get told time and time again by my own website clients that having an outside perspective come in to help and ask questions and help make connections and reflect and just offer some objective perspective on your business is so helpful in feeling excited about how you're presenting your business again. And the exact same thing has been true for me with this rebrand. If you want to hear about the process of rebranding, why I decided to rebrand, how I knew I needed to rebrand, how I chose my brand designer, I will link the podcast episode where I go through all of that in the video description. But today I specifically wanted to share details of my rebrand that my brand designer absolutely knocked out of the park. They are things that I literally never could have come up with, and I could not explain them or do them justice on a podcast episode or in a simple blog. So you are getting the full video walkthrough of all the tiny details my brand designer, Christina, put into my brand elements. Like literally any good creative service provider, Christina and I started our project with her asking me a bunch of questions and getting on a long kickoff call to talk through the strategy for my rebrand and what I wanted and really who I am, because I very much did not come in with like, I want these colors and I want these fonts and I want these things. I came in saying, Christina, I want to feel like this. This is how I want the vibe I want this to give off. And this is how I want to feel when I'm posting. And this is how I want people to feel when they see my stuff. And I let her take it from there. So in the process of preparing for my project, filling out my branding questionnaire, doing our kickoff call, she interviewed some of my past clients, which is super fun. A couple core concepts were unveiled. And actually, I don't feel like unveiled is the right word because I feel like I predicted that. Like Christina asked me early in our project what qualities I have, what I think clients are saying about me, why I love working with the clients that I do, like all of those good ins and outs of messaging. And my clients showed up. They said basically the exact same things that I said about my own business. So that was a really fun moment to be like, oh, everything is in alignment here with like what I'm saying and what people are experiencing out of my brand. But one of the first things that I told Christina was that I want to be known for and think I am known for my range with copywriting. I think a lot of times when you think about your brand voice, it can feel really intimidating, especially as like a small business, like a solo service provider or someone with a small team. It can feel really intimidating to hand over your voice and your tone to someone else, to basically let someone else's words represent you. But one of the things that I love doing for clients is really digging into how they talk and what's important to them and the values they hold and how they actually would say things and what their clients need to hear so that no two projects sound alike. I actually gave her the example in the year that we worked on my rebrand. I think I worked with 6 brand and website designers and not a one of those websites is the same. No one's copy is the same. Everyone sounds completely different, prioritizes different things because they're different for the business owner and their specific audience. So my range was one of the first things that I told Christina about. And I was like, I don't know how we would visually represent that, but I hired a brand designer so that wouldn't be my problem. And you know what? It was not even a problem for Christina. Another thing I told Christina is that one of the biggest struggles I've had with my brand and DIYing my own brand, because that's what I've been doing from the very start of my business. I actually used to offer brand design services. So I have all of the technical skills. Like I am very proficient at Illustrator. I know how to put these things together. I know how to check that color combinations are accessible. Like, there's a lot of knowledge there, but my execution was never long term. I would like rebrand and then get bored and try to change things up. And I told her, very honestly, I don't see that quality of mine going away. I would like to have like core colors that can shift through the seasons, because I also am one to like change the look of my aesthetic and my visuals with the literal seasons of the year. And I like some wiggle room basically in my brand to be able to play with, like, if I find a fun new font without changing like my core fonts and the fonts that are more instantly recognizable, I want some wiggle room in my brand. So I needed both range to display the range that I can cover when actually writing for clients, and I wanted some range within my own brand that I could play with it and live in it, because like I said, I'm a visuals girly. Like, I will always be playing with my brand. So Christina pulled this into my brand in such creative ways. I'm still so obsessed with it. The first thing is a set of these rotating ampersand GIFs, which, fun fact, she says GIFs, which is technically the correct pronunciation, and I refuse. So GIFs. They came across in a couple of GIFs in a couple different fonts, so they can show like the different tones and vibes that I am able to write in and access. I also love giving websites like a little bit of motion. I don't love a whole ton of effects because I don't find them to be very user friendly. Like, if I am on a website with a bunch of special effects, I will leave. I will leave because I'm too overwhelmed to actually use the website. But she put together these GIFs to make things really, really subtle. And I also love that we used an ampersand because as I was writing my website, so while Christina was designing my brand, I was rewriting some of my copy. Some of my website copy was like really solid. I did not need to change it. This was not a reinvention. Like, this was more like, I want my brand to match who I am, not I'm changing who I am. So I only had a few sections to rewrite on my website, but one of them was this idea that we don't have to choose. Specifically between like growing a really profitable, I have tried 3 times now to say that word right on the first take and I can't do it. So profitable business and one that feels personal. Like, you don't have to choose between making money and feeling good about how you do it. And so there's a lot of and on my website. And I went ahead and visually accented it. Like, I added a lot of and, but then bringing in the ampersand in that way was just like full circle. It was perfect. Another way Christina pulled all of this stuff in was through some clip art, which I was gonna say it's stickers, but these aren't like die cut stickers that I would print out and put on like a water bottle or my laptop. This is more like I would cut this out of a magazine and collage with it. So this clip art is so fun, and she used a bunch of different fonts to do this. So the nice thing is, if I ever wanna have her back to create like more of these, we can go crazy with the fonts because the aesthetic of the clip art is what's consistent, and it's in my colors, which is what's consistent. So I could do basically whatever I wanted with the fonts and it would still feel on brand, which solves a lot of problems for me, as you can tell. But this also goes into like one of the things that my clients said they remember the most about me, or why they hired me, or a lot of different things. And I had a feeling this was gonna be true, but I very much am one to put an exclamation point on my writing for clients, especially though within my own brand. Like, I am pretty consistently on threads. I love a one-liner. I love a line of copy or a sentence that just punches so hard. And she turned them into clip art for me. My favorite one is the complicated is canceled clip art, because that is something I say all the time to my clients, to myself, to copywriting students. I say it all the time. It's all over my website. But I also love this like standard of simplicity one, also one of my favorites. And then some of these are like sprinkled throughout my website as well. The name of my podcast, which is I Don't Know Who Needs to Hear This, went on its own clip art. So there's just so many details in those little moments, and it was really fun to kind of like layer them into my website to give the whole thing a little bit more texture so it didn't feel flat. I didn't want things to feel boring, but I did still want them to feel very like clean and crisp. One thing I should add about these clip art moments is that they are designed digitally, and then they were actually printed out on Christina's printer and then rescanned in. So they have an actual collage-y texture and effect. and they are so perfect. They are so perfect. They are so fun to play with. They feel so unique. They weren't designed and exported and immediately added to my website. There's a lot of texture and depth there, and you can almost feel, I think at least, you can feel the time and the effort that went into creating them, which is something I really try to do and embody for my website clients. So just, it's all in the little details. So for the next thing about my rebrand, a little bit of context, we have to back it up, because one of the things I really, really wanted out of my rebrand was some kind of signature aesthetic. And I wanted it to be really deep and layered and textured. I told this to Christina, and this is one of her things. So this is like part of the reason I wanted to work with her specifically, is that I wanted to have consistency in my visuals throughout every single platform, because I'm at a place now in my business where I show up on not every single platform, but I have a lot of different graphics to make. I have like some lead magnets that are PDFs, so handouts basically. I have slides because I teach website copywriting and messaging. I have blog post graphics, I have Pinterest graphics, I have a podcast, I have an Instagram where I sometimes, when I feel like it, will post a carousel. So I wanted all of that stuff to be able to come together. And so one of the things I'm still so obsessed with, Christina brought me at the very beginning of our project, was in our initial mood board / inspiration, which I am going to show you. For note, these are like inspiration photos from throughout the internet. So neither Christina nor I designed these. We pulled them from the internet just for inspiration. But one of the things that majorly influenced my brand was this concept of like journals and planners and productivity planners, and just these really like clean line typography layouts. She was wanting to play with some paper textures and planner layouts with like really fine lines, and that is like 10 of 10 exactly me. I love a very crisp, clean layout. And then we also were playing with kind of like not a polka dotted pattern, but like a dot grid like you'd find in a bullet journal. And so all of that came together in so many different ways. The first thing I'm going to show you is my dots. I'm so obsessed with these dots. I never thought that I'd be saying that, like, oh, there's dots in my brand and I love them. But they're inspired by a bullet journal, like I was just talking about. And I use them in a couple different ways throughout all of my stuff. One being bullet pointed lists. I love how they like zoom in on my website and form a really unique and colorful, like it's like subtly colorful, it's not overwhelming, but a colorful way to bring in a list. I also love this graphic that Christina made for me where all of these dots kind of like float around and then zoom into place, because that's something my clients said time and time again, and I say time again. That's something that my clients have said over and over, that I say over and over, is like, I am here to make order out of chaos. I take your crazy complicated offer suite and your 87 ideas and I put it all together in messaging that has a through line that makes it make sense, and I communicate it on your website in a way that makes sense to your ideal people. So I really wanted some kind of like organization vibe to the brand. I had no idea how to do that, but again, not my problem and not a problem, because we have this fun little GIF of the circles zooming around and flying into order. We use them in a couple different ways throughout things, but it's one of my favorite little details, is getting to have this like visual of them getting organized. And all of these details kind of like run into each other. There's so many layers to each visual that goes into my brand that before I can show you more ways that the like planner organizer aesthetic came in, I also have to tell you a major part of our inspiration was my background as a website designer, because one of the things my clients are obsessed with, and I'm obsessed with doing, is wireframing copy. And this is not technically, like, it is a selling point, but it's not. I always tell people and students that like your process doesn't sell, your process informs, but the end result and your deliverables are what really sell your services. But the problem is that this really is such a big part of my process that people don't come to me for wireframed copy specifically, but they do leave saying, I didn't know how cool it was to have my website basically pre-laid out for me. So basically with wireframed copy, I will go through all of the website copy and turn it into like a mock website layout before sending it over to my client. So you can kind of see how everything is going to go live on the website. Obviously, if I'm designing, if another designer is working with us to get it live, there's always room to change those things. But basically, I'm just really thinking about how a website works and how people use websites when I'm writing the copy, so we don't miss opportunities to have a really solid way to walk people through like just finding your website, through getting to know you, through getting to know your services, to realizing they need those things right now and inquiring with you or buying from your shop. So wireframes came into play with my brand because just like with these little like fine line moments, I did not know how we were going to pull this off. I didn't even request that we pull this off. This was like Christina saw an idea and went for it. But basically in my logo, in some layouts, in so many different places, there are little website wireframes. Like we mocked up a little website screen or like a browser tab. It's adorable. I'm obsessed with it. You can see it in my logo. You can see it in, like I said, so many different places, but I love having this like fine line aesthetic and having a way to keep things feeling really cohesive, even when I'm like changing things up or designing a website section or going to socials. Like this is something that I already use everywhere. And then when it came to the actual color palette of my brand, I did not have a ton of opinions here. I did know that my brand before reaching out and starting this whole project was a little too like perky for me. I did it myself, so I'm allowed to criticize it, but there was like some bright pink. It was very springy and none of it was like actually what I would wear, which sounds a little bit trivial, but as someone who is trying to get more into video content in this year, in the next few years, the visuals are really important to me, and I don't want people to feel catfish when they see like my website, which is like photos that I styled myself for to the nines. I spent weeks planning my brand photo shoots. I spent months redoing my website. I don't want to show up on YouTube and not look like my brand. But the other problem, and this is so specific to me, and just a testament to how good Christina is, frankly, I told her, like, the colors that I really like to wear are not necessarily the same colors that I like to design with. And like, I really love like wearing neutrals and I love the occasional pop of color, but I love to design in really bright colors. Help. And so I am so happy with like the details in my color palette. And this is like one of those, it was meant to be moments, but I knew, because Christina is very good at communication, I knew when I would be getting like previews of my brand. Like she would, send me an update and say like, I'll send it to you by the end of the week. So Friday would roll around and I knew that I was going to get something about my brand. So the first Friday I ever saw something for my brand, I was texting a friend the night before and I said, I can't stop seeing plum everywhere, like a very smoky plum. I can't stop seeing it. I am in love with it. It feels very me to have some kind of like, it almost feels like a neutral, but it's colorful. It felt very me to be seeing that color everywhere. And I started panicking a little bit on the inside because I was like, should I tell Christina that I'm really digging this color, or should I see what she's gonna send me? And if we do this, if we do incorporate a purple, how are we gonna prevent it from being too classically feminine? Because that's also not me. Like, how are we gonna balance all of these things? And I decided not to say anything. I was like, I hired someone for a reason. Lo and behold, the next day I get my brand presentation. My proposed color palette was in it. I had a smoky plum as the base of my designs. And like, it was fate. It was fate. And then I also have colors that will work as I kind of rotate, because right now as I'm recording this, it's winter, but I am obviously a business owner year round, and I like to rotate out my visuals according to the seasons. So I have some darker shades for like fall and winter. I have some brighter shades for spring and summer. And my very favorite color that I did not think was gonna be in my brand, nor did I think I would love it this much, is actually a really bright red. As I'm recording this, it's actually one of the things I need to do over the next few weeks is purchase some new clothing in my brand colors simply because I'm that obsessed with them. I did buy a couple things in this bright red. It's like a lipstick red and cannot stop wearing it. Obviously I'm not right now, but cannot stop wearing it. Love it so much. So all the care that went into the colors is also, you would never know, but I know, and it makes me very happy. And then the last thing is my textures. So I have so many different brand textures. This was, Christina told me, one of her bigger brands in terms of like number of files. I think we both got a little carried away with this rebrand, but I have a couple brand textures that are just like paper textures, and there's also like cut paper layered on top of paper that I'm using on my website, that I'm using on socials. So many different options. But specifically the texture that I am extra obsessed with is this book texture that Christina created for me. I did not know what this was called until this project, but when you have the giant capital letter and then like the rest of the sentence follows, it's called a drop cap, and my drop cap textures are one of my very favorites because I am an avid reader. Obviously, as a words girl, it's not the most original thing, right? For a copywriter to have like some kind of book or story inspired something in their branding. But I'm not just a story girl in my work mode. I read an average, I would say, one book every 2 to 3 days. Like, I am a reader through and through. So we wanted to bring in like reading and stories in some way because I read a lot. I obviously write a lot, but we wanted it to be very unique because, like I said, I'm not the first copywriter to have something story inspired in their branding. And when Christina sent me this, I about fell out of my chair because, one, I love the drop cap as we have established, but two, these are my threads. And this is like, you would not, again, you wouldn't know this unless I explained it to you, which is why I'm sitting here explaining it to you. But one of the things that I'm not formally known for with my clients, like it's not part of a project, but it's just a thing that I'm known for in my internet friend circles, is being funny on threads, but also going viral on threads by accident. It happens to me. There was a time where it happened to me at least once a week. My high score is 3 viral threads in a week. I hope to never repeat that because I had to turn my notifications off. But she turned my funniest threads into my brand textures, and I will never actually recover from that. I have them, there's so many different threads, there's so many different colorways of this texture. I am full-blown obsessed. It's so fun. It's so me. She knocked it out of the park. So I'm probably forgetting a detail or two, but those are the things that come to my mind immediately when I think about my new branding, all the details and care that were put into it, and all of the layers that are there and why. So if you loved this video, go ahead and give it a like, give me a subscribe because I am becoming a YouTube girl. There will be lots more where this came from. And don't forget to go check out hellococreative.com for the full website and rebrand effect. You can actually see all of the elements in action, and I'll also link a blog post I have with the process of rebranding and all the other behind the scenes stuff as well. See you next time.